The night sky above the desert world of Taranif burned with the light of falling ships. A battle had raged only hours ago, leaving smoke, wreckage, and silence. The wind carried the smell of burned metal and blood. Through that dark sky, a single small craft moved unsteady, its engine coughing sparks. Inside sat Captain Ryan Hale, a human pilot with tired eyes and a bloodied uniform. His mission had failed. He had tried to stop a group of slave traders from escaping the battle zone, but they had hit his ship. Now his engine was dying and he was falling toward the desert. The crash came fast. The ship hit the ground hard, rolling over the sand, metal screaming as it tore apart. When everything stopped, Ryan lay half-conscious, hearing only the wind outside and the crackle of fire. His body hurt everywhere, but he was alive. He unbuckled himself, groaning as pain shot through his ribs, and crawled out into the cold night. Above him, the stars were clear. In the distance, dim lights glowed, maybe a camp. He grabbed his blaster, limped toward the lights, and muttered to himself, "If they're slavers, then I'm finishing this." As he moved closer, he saw cages, metal cages filled with small figures. Some were silent, some cried softly, and standing around a burning fire were 3 tall alien slavers, their armor dirty, their voices cruel. They laughed as they spoke in a rough alien language Ryan barely understood. Then a sound cut through the wind, a small, weak sob. Ryan turned. In one of the cages near the back, a small alien girl huddled alone. Her skin was pale silver, her eyes glowing faint blue even in the dark. She looked no older than 10 human years. Her thin hands clutched the bars. When she saw him, she whispered, "Help, please." Ryan felt something twist inside him. He had seen war. He had seen pain. But this was worse. Children in cages, innocents sold like property. He tightened his grip on the blaster and whispered, "Hold on, kid." He crouched behind a wrecked transport, planning his move. The slavers had plasma rifles and a watchtower drone. A direct fight meant death, but Ryan was a soldier, and soldiers adapted. He picked up a small metal shard, tossed it far away. The sound made one slaver turn. When the others looked, Ryan moved silently behind the nearest tent, crawled through sand and reached a power generator humming softly. He pulled a wire from his belt, connected it to a thermal grenade, and whispered, "Boom in 3, 2. The explosion shook the camp. Fire burst into the air, throwing sand and smoke. The slavers shouted, confused, running for cover. Ryan dashed from the shadows, shooting 2 clean shots. One hit a rifle, one hit a slaver's shoulder. The third turned, firing back. Laser beams burned past Ryan's arm. He rolled behind a crate, heart pounding, breathing fast. "Come on, Hale," he told himself. One more push. He jumped out, fired again, hitting the drone's core. It exploded in sparks. The last slaver ran toward the cages, maybe to grab a hostage, but Ryan tackled him. The 2 fell hard. The alien swung a blade. Ryan blocked with his arm, pain searing through him. He kicked, grabbed the blaster, and fired point blank. The slaver fell still. Silence. Smoke drifted through the camp. Ryan dropped to one knee, panting. His arms trembled. He looked at the cages again. Scared eyes watched him. He walked to the control panel, pressed the release, and the doors hissed open. The prisoners slowly stepped out, weak, trembling, some unable to walk. The small alien girl ran to him, her blue eyes wet with tears. "You saved us," she said softly. Her voice was calm but full of shock, as if she could not believe it was real. Ryan knelt to her level. "You're safe now," he said gently. "What's your name?" She hesitated. "Lyra." "Okay, Lyra," Ryan said, giving her a tired smile. "We need to move." "There might be more of them." She nodded, holding his hand tightly as they walked away from the burning camp. The heat of the fire glowed behind them, lighting the desert in red. They found a small cave in the rocks nearby. Ryan set up a flare, checked his wounds, and looked at her again. She sat quietly, clutching her knees, still shaking. He opened his pack, found a small piece of ration bread, and offered it to her. She looked at it with wide eyes, as if she hadn't eaten in days. She took it carefully, whispering, "Thank you." Ryan smiled. "Don't thank me yet. We still need to survive till sunrise." She tilted her head. "You human?" He nodded. "Yeah. Captain Ryan Hale, Earth Alliance." She touched her small pendant, a crystal on a silver string, and said softly, "My people, Taken, all gone. Ryan's chest tightened. He didn't know what to say. He only said, "Not all gone. You're still here." Lyra looked at him, tears in her glowing eyes. "Why help me?" Ryan leaned back against the cave wall, looking at the stars. "Because someone has to," he said. "If we don't help each other, what's left?" The girl didn't answer. She moved closer, resting her head against his arm. In the silence, Ryan could hear her breathing, slow, calm. Exhausted, she fell asleep. Ryan stayed awake, watching the desert. He thought of his crew, all gone. Of the war, endless, pointless. But in that moment, with that small child safe beside him, something in his heart felt light again. The night passed slowly. By morning, he heard the distant hum of human rescue ships. Ryan smiled faintly. "We made it, kid." He turned to wake her, but the cave was empty. Lyra was gone. Only the small silver necklace lay on the sand where she had slept. Ryan picked it up, whispering her name. "Lyra." Above, rescue lights flashed in the sky, but Ryan didn't move. He just stared at the necklace, and in his heart a strange feeling grew. He had saved her. But somehow he knew this wasn't the end. 20 years had passed since the night Captain Ryan Hale saved the little alien girl from the slave camp on Terran 4. 20 years since the fire, the screams, and the desert wind that carried her name, Lyra. Now Ryan lived far away from wars and space battles. His home was a small wooden house on the green world of Varen's Reach, a peaceful human colony near the outer rim. The people here didn't wear uniforms or carry guns. They farmed, traded, laughed, and lived quiet lives. Ryan liked it that way. He had fought too many battles, seen too much death. The war medals on his shelf gathered dust. The only thing he cared about anymore was the small silver necklace he kept locked inside a box. The necklace with the glowing blue crystal, the one that once belonged to a frightened alien child. Sometimes at night, when the stars were clear, he would take it out, hold it in his hand and whisper, "I hope you made it." Then he would pour a drink, sit on his porch, and watch the night sky like an old man waiting for ghosts. But lately, something had changed. For the past 3 nights, Ryan had seen strange flashes in the sky, not shooting stars, not human ships. Blue light, smooth and silent like ripples moving through space. The colony scanners called them unknown signals, but nobody worried. Out here, strange things often passed by. Then one evening, the local news screen flickered on in his house. The voice of the anchor trembled slightly. "Breaking transmission. The Zetherian Empire has risen again. They are uniting worlds beyond our borders. Their new ruler, Queen Lyra of Zetheria, speaks of justice, strength, and vengeance for her fallen people." Ryan froze. The cup slipped from his hand and shattered on the floor. "Queen Lyra," he whispered. His heartbeat quickened. That name, that face on the screen, silver skin, blue eyes that glowed like stars. She was older now, powerful, regal. But those eyes, they were the same eyes he saw in that dark desert cave. Ryan couldn't sleep that night. He walked outside, the wind cool on his face. The fields were quiet, glowing faintly under the moonlight. He looked up at the stars and muttered, "You really made it, didn't you? You survived." But something in her message from the broadcast chilled him. "We will not forget the hands that caused our suffering." The words echoed in his head. He wondered what had happened to her after that night. Had she found her people? Did she rebuild her world? Or had the hatred of the past turned her heart into something darker? As the sun rose, Ryan tried to shake off the thoughts. He went to the colony repair yard where he worked, fixing small ships and drones. The younger workers called him Old Captain, asking him stories about the war. He rarely spoke much, but that day he seemed distracted. Around noon, the sky darkened, not with clouds, but with shadows. Dozens of small dots appeared high above the colony. They weren't birds and they weren't human ships. "Ships incoming," someone shouted. "Not in registry." Ryan stepped outside, shielding his eyes. The ships were smooth, silver blue, glowing with the same color as the crystal on Lyra's necklace. His stomach turned cold. The ground trembled as one of the ships descended just beyond the town. Alarms wailed. People ran for shelters. Ryan stayed still, his instincts screaming, yet his heart whispering, "No, this isn't an invasion. Not yet." A bright light scanned the colony, sweeping over buildings and people, then stopped directly on Ryan. The light locked on him like a spotlight, and a voice echoed through the air in a calm, Alien tone. Captain Ryan Hale of the Earth Alliance. You are summoned by order of Her Majesty, Queen Lyra of Zetheria. Gasps spread through the crowd. Ryan stepped back. Summoned, me? Before he could react, two tall alien soldiers appeared in front of him. Their armor shimmered like liquid metal and their eyes glowed faintly blue. They weren't threatening, but their presence felt heavy. You will come with us, one said. Ryan's mind spun. After 20 years, after all this time, she remembered him. But why now? They took him aboard a small craft. Inside, everything was silent and cold. The walls pulsed faintly, alive with energy. Through the window, he saw the colony grow smaller beneath him. As the ship rose into orbit, Ryan saw something that stole his breath. A massive fleet hanging in the sky. Dozens of enormous vessels, silver and black, shaped like wings. Each one carried the royal symbol of Zetheria, a glowing star wrapped by a ring of light. He felt both awe and dread. This was no small empire. This was power beyond anything humans had built. Where are you taking me? He asked quietly. The alien soldier looked at him. To the Queen. Ryan leaned back, his heart pounding. The hum of the ship felt almost like a heartbeat, steady, cold, unstoppable. He looked out again, whispering, Lyra, what happened to you? Hours later, the transport entered the hangar of the royal flagship. Ryan stepped out, eyes wide. The floor glowed beneath his boots and tall crystal pillars rose around him. Alien guards lined the hall, bowing as a large door opened at the far end. Beyond it, a throne of light stood, and upon it, a figure draped in silver and blue. Her crown shimmered like stars, and her eyes, the same eyes from the past, looked down at him. Welcome, Captain Hale, she said, her voice calm but cold. It has been a very long time. Ryan stared, unable to speak. Lyra? The Queen smiled slightly, but it wasn't warmth, and it was control. You saved my life once, and because of that, the universe changed. She rose, her gaze sharp as blades. Now you will help me finish what you started. Ryan's breath caught in his throat. Finish what I started? What are you talking about? Lyra's smile faded. The day you saved me, she said softly, was the same day your people destroyed my world. Her words cut like ice. Ryan felt the floor shift beneath him. The great hall of the Zetherian flagship was filled with light, soft blue light that shimmered like water, reflecting off silver walls and crystal pillars. The air smelled of ozone and strange flowers that grew from glowing roots along the floor. Everything looked peaceful, yet Ryan Hale could feel the danger behind that beauty. At the end of the hall, Queen Lyra stood tall and proud. She wore a crown that glowed faintly with energy, and her silver skin looked almost metallic under the light. Her long robe moved like liquid with every slow step she took down the stairs. Ryan couldn't move. 20 years ago, she had been a small, scared girl in a cage. Now she was a queen who ruled fleets, worlds, and armies. Her eyes still shined that same deep blue, but they were no longer innocent. They were sharp, the eyes of someone who had seen too much pain. Lyra, he said quietly, unsure if he should bow or salute. Her lips curved into a small smile that didn't reach her eyes. You remember me, she said softly. Good. I remember you too, Captain Hale. Ryan nodded slowly. You've changed, she tilted her head, her gaze cold. Time changes everything, doesn't it? You taught me that when you destroyed the men who sold me. When you showed me both kindness and war. Ryan frowned. Destroyed the men who sold you? That was saving you, not destroying anything. Lyra walked closer, her footsteps echoing through the silent hall. Saving me? She repeated. You saved one life that night, and because of that, millions of my people died. Ryan's chest tightened.
What are you talking about?
Lyra raised her hand. The air shimmered, forming a hologram above them, a vision of fire and chaos. Ryan saw massive ships burning in space, cities crumbling on an alien world, people running as explosions tore the ground apart. That, she said, her voice calm but heavy, was Zetheria, my home. The slavers you killed sent a distress beacon before they died. Your human fleet found it. They came with good intentions, or so they said. But they feared what they didn't understand, and so they burned my world thinking it was a slave base. Ryan stepped back, shaking his head. No, I didn't know. I didn't even send that beacon. Lyra cut him off. I know you didn't, but the universe doesn't care about who pressed the button. You were there. You started the chain. Ryan felt a wave of guilt crush his chest. He remembered the little girl, the necklace, her soft voice asking, "Why help me?" Now he understood why she asked. Her world had been broken by the same humans who claimed to protect peace. He swallowed hard.
Lyra, I'm sorry.
I didn't know. If I could go back, she turned away sharply. You can't, none of us can. Silence filled the room. Only the faint hum of the ship's engines could be heard. Ryan looked around, at the guards, the banners, the advanced technology. You built all this? From the ashes, yes, she said. From the pain. My people rebuilt, united by one purpose, to never be weak again. She turned her gaze back to him, her voice colder now. And to never forgive those who took our world. Ryan took a step forward, his voice calm but firm. Then why am I here? If you hate humans, if you hate me, why not kill me the moment I arrived? Lyra's expression softened for a moment, her eyes flickering with something like confusion. Because you're the only human I ever saw show mercy, she said quietly. The only one who gave me food, warmth, and hope. The only one I couldn't hate completely. She paused, then added, but mercy is a weakness I can no longer afford. Ryan's jaw tightened. Then what do you want from me? Lyra turned to her throne and sat down slowly. The room darkened as holographic stars appeared all around them, showing maps of galaxies and borders. War is coming, Captain Hale, she said, and I need to understand my enemy before I destroy them. Ryan's heart dropped. You mean humanity, she nodded once. You once fought for them. You know their ways, their leaders, their fleets. You will tell me everything. He stared at her, disbelief in his eyes. You brought me here to betray my own people? Lyra's voice remained calm. I brought you here to give you a choice. Help me end this war before it begins, or watch your people burn like mine did. Ryan clenched his fists. That's not peace, Lyra, that's revenge. Her expression darkened. Maybe, but peace built on lies is worse. For a long moment, neither spoke. They just stared at each other. The soldier and the queen, bound by a past neither could escape. Then Lyra waved her hand and 2 guards stepped forward. Take him to the chamber, she said. He will stay there until he decides where his loyalty lies. The guards grabbed Ryan's arms. He didn't resist, but his voice was strong as he said, You're not the girl I saved. Lyra looked at him sharply. No, she said. That girl died the day humans came to my world. As the guards led him away, Ryan looked back one last time. For a second, he thought he saw something flicker in her eyes. Sadness. Maybe even pain. But it vanished as quickly as it came. The doors closed behind him with a heavy hiss. Alone in her throne room, Queen Lyra stood still, staring at the empty space where Ryan had been. She reached out to touch the armrest beside her, and there, hidden under her robe, hung a small, old silver necklace. The one he had given her long ago. Her fingers brushed against it. For a brief second, her face softened, the cold mask cracking just a little. Then she whispered, almost to herself, Why did you have to come back? Outside, the fleet of Zetherian warships began to move toward human space. The room they locked Ryan Hale in was quiet, but not dark. Its walls glowed faintly blue like frozen light. There were no chains, no guards inside, only silence, and the faint sound of the ship's endless hum. It was not a cell meant to punish him. It was a cell meant to make him think. Ryan sat on the metal floor, staring at his reflection in the smooth wall. His beard had grown rough. His eyes were tired, but not broken. He kept replaying her words in his mind. You saved me, and doomed my people. He whispered to himself, No, I couldn't have. But deep down he knew how war worked. A signal, a wrong assumption, one desperate rescue. It could lead to something terrible. He had seen it before. He rubbed his hands together, thinking about the little girl who once cried in that dark cage, the one who had held his hand and whispered, Thank you. Could that same girl truly hate him now? He didn't know. But he needed answers. Hours passed. Maybe days. The lights in the room never changed. Then the door opened with a soft hiss. 2 guards entered, silent as shadows, and behind them came a tall alien man in black armor with a golden crest on his chest. Her Majesty requests your presence, he said in a deep voice. Ryan stood. She wants to talk again? The alien didn't answer. He only gestured toward the hall. They led Ryan through long corridors of shining crystal and living metal. Every surface seemed alive, breathing with faint light. Alien symbols marked the walls, words he couldn't read, but somehow felt like they were watching him. Finally, they reached a huge circular chamber filled with stars, a holographic map of the galaxy spinning slowly in the center. Queen Lyra stood there alone, her back turned. She looked smaller this time. Not weaker, but human somehow, if she could still be called that. "Leave us," she said quietly. The guards bowed and left. Ryan stepped closer, his voice calm. "You wanted to see me." She nodded slightly, still not looking at him. "I wanted you to see something." She waved her hand and the map changed. The stars faded, replaced by the image of a burning planet. Cytheria, her homeworld. Ryan could almost feel the heat, the destruction, the screams. "This is what was left of my world," Lyra said softly. "After your fleet arrived." Ryan frowned. "I told you I didn't send that beacon." "I know," she replied. "But the humans who came did not care. They thought we were part of the slaver network. They bombed the surface before even landing." The hologram changed again. Ryan saw old footage. Human soldiers moving through ruins, finding bodies, broken machines, and frightened survivors. Then he saw something else. A small girl, half buried under rubble, being pulled out by alien hands. Her glowing eyes flickered weakly. "Lyra, they found me," she said. "I was one of the few. The survivors raised me, taught me, made me promise that our people would never again trust humans." She turned to face him. "I kept that promise." Ryan looked at the hologram again, the flames, the terror, and whispered, "I didn't know. None of us knew." Her eyes narrowed. "You should have. You humans always say you bring peace, yet every planet you touch ends up with scars." He shook his head. "That's not true. We try to fix things to protect." "Protect?" She snapped, stepping closer. "You protected me once, and it cost my world everything." Her words cut deep. But he didn't step back. "Maybe I made mistakes," he said quietly. "Maybe my kind did too. But I still believe saving you was right." Lyra froze. "Right?" "Yes," he said. "Because if I had left you there, you'd be dead. None of this would exist. Your people rebuilt, your empire standing strong. You survived because someone chose mercy." For a moment, her face softened just a little. Her voice lowered. "You speak as if mercy is strength. But mercy made us victims." "Mercy made you alive," Ryan said. "And look what you've become." The silence that followed was heavy. She turned away, hiding the emotion in her eyes. Then she said, "Come with me." She led him down a long corridor to a chamber filled with glass pods. Inside them floated strange devices, each glowing faintly, pieces of human technology. Ryan stopped. "These are—" "Yes," Lyra said. "Your people's weapons. We took them from wrecked ships. We learned from them. Improved them." She touched one of the pods gently. "You gave us the tools to rebuild." He stared at her. "So what now? You use them to destroy us." She looked back at him with a calm, unreadable face. "To remind the galaxy who we are. To show that no one can take from us again." Ryan took a slow breath. "That's not strength, Lyra, that's fear." Her expression darkened. "You think I don't know fear? I saw my mother die in the fire. I watched my home crumble into dust. Fear made me a queen." Ryan's voice softened. "And it's still ruling you." That struck something in her. For the first time, she looked unsure. He took a step closer. "You're fighting ghosts, Lyra. Ghosts from the past. But you can't build peace by burning what's left." Her gaze fell. Her voice grew quiet. "You sound like the man I once knew." Ryan blinked. Maybe that's because he's still here. For a moment, the two just stood there. A soldier and a queen, the past between them like a wall of smoke. Then Lyra sighed. "Return him to his room," she said softly. "No harm is to come to him." The guards entered again. As they led Ryan away, he looked back. Lyra was standing still, her hand pressed over her heart. And for the first time, she looked lost. Hours later, Lyra sat alone in her private chamber. She opened a small box from her robe. Inside lay the old silver necklace, still shining faintly after all these years. Her fingers trembled as she whispered, "Why can't I forget you, Ryan Hale?" Outside her window, the stars burned quietly, and deep inside the ship, alarms began to flicker. A human fleet had entered the edge of Cytherian space. The past was no longer just memory. It was coming back for both of them. The alarm lights painted the royal ship in red. Sirens wailed through every hallway as soldiers rushed to their stations. The Zetherian flagship, once calm and glowing with peace, now pulsed like a living heart ready for war. Queen Lyra stood before a wide window, staring at the stars beyond. Out there, a line of human ships had appeared, silent, powerful, forming a wall of steel and fire. Her generals surrounded her, waiting for orders. Their voices were sharp, cold, filled with pride. "Your Majesty, the humans have crossed into our territory. They bring war, as they always do. Give the command and we will destroy them." Lyra's hands clenched behind her back. Her voice was calm but heavy. "Hold your fire." The generals looked confused. "My queen, hold your fire," she repeated louder this time. The hall went silent. Lyra's eyes glowed faintly blue. Her mind was storming with memories. The fire of her homeworld, the little girl crying in the cage, and the man who had once risked his life to save her. That same man was now locked deep inside her ship. Down below, in the quiet cell, Ryan Hale felt the rumble of engines. He knew that sound. He had lived it for years. It was the sound of ships ready for battle. He stood, pressing his hand against the glowing wall. "No," he whispered. "Not again." The door slid open and a familiar face appeared, an alien guard with soft violet skin and nervous eyes. Ryan remembered him from earlier. He wasn't cruel like the others. "What's happening?" Ryan asked. The guard hesitated. "Your fleet is here. The Queen has not ordered the attack yet, but the generals grow restless. They say she's weak." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "Weak? She's the only reason I'm still alive." The guard looked down. "She's torn between peace and revenge. They whisper that she has forgotten her promise." "What promise?" "That humans would never leave this galaxy alive." Ryan stepped closer. "Can you get me to her?" The guard's eyes widened. "You're insane. You'd be killed the moment they see you." Ryan smiled faintly. "Then I'll just have to move fast." Something in his voice and the quiet strength, the calm madness, made the guard nod. "Follow me." They moved through empty corridors, lights flashing red above. Most soldiers were at battle stations. The few who noticed them didn't stop them. Maybe they thought Ryan was a prisoner being moved. At the end of the hall, they reached the Queen's private garden, a chamber filled with glowing trees and floating petals. It was quiet there, untouched by war. Lyra stood among the trees alone. She didn't turn when she heard his voice. "You're not really going to do this," Ryan said softly. Her shoulders tensed. "You shouldn't be here." He walked closer. "Then why didn't you order my death?" She turned. Her face was calm, but her eyes were wet. "Because I wanted to believe mercy still existed somewhere inside me." Ryan took a step forward. "Then hold on to that, Lyra. Because what's coming out there," he pointed toward the window, "that's not strength. That's the same mistake that destroyed your home." Lyra's voice trembled with anger. "Don't you dare speak of my home." "I will," he said, "because I was part of it. I didn't know what I caused back then, but I know what I can stop now." Her glow dimmed slightly. "You think you can stop a war?" He nodded. "No, but maybe you can." She looked away, her voice cold again. "My people expect vengeance. They will not forgive." "Then lead them somewhere better," Ryan said. "That's what leaders do. They don't repeat old scars, and they heal them." Lyra's lip trembled, but she hid it quickly. "You speak as if peace is easy." Ryan shook his head. "Peace is never easy. It's just right." Suddenly, a loud voice echoed from the hall. One of her generals entered without permission, tall, armored, furious. "Your Majesty," he said, bowing slightly, "our patience is over. The humans are arming their weapons. We must strike now." Lyra didn't answer. The general noticed Ryan standing there and sneered. "Why is this creature free?" Before Ryan could speak, the general drew his plasma blade. "I will correct your mistake." He lunged. Lyra moved faster than thought. Her hand raised and energy burst from her palm. The blade stopped midair, inches from Ryan's chest. The general froze, trapped in a field of blue light. "Enough," Lyra shouted. "You forget who commands this fleet." The general's voice cracked with rage. "You let your heart be poisoned by a human." Lyra's eyes burned brighter. "I am the Queen of Zetheria. My heart belongs to my people. But this man," she looked at Ryan, "reminds me that we once had souls too." She released the energy. The general fell to the floor, gasping. Guards rushed in, but Lyra raised her hand. "Take him away." No harm to the human. The guards obeyed. When the room emptied, Ryan let out a long breath. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did, Lyra said quietly. Because I realized something. Ryan tilted his head. What? She looked at him with calm, glowing eyes. If I destroy your kind, I become the same monster who sold me as a child. And I refuse to be that again. Ryan smiled faintly. Then you've already made your choice. Lyra turned toward the window. Not yet, she said. There will be a price for this. My people will see me as weak. Some may rebel. Then let them, Ryan said softly. Because sometimes doing the right thing means standing alone. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Lyra whispered, You humans. You never stop fighting for hope. Ryan chuckled. It's all we've got. Minutes later, the fleet comms came alive. The humans were calling for talks, no weapons, just peace. Lyra closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and said quietly, Open the channel. Her generals whispered in fear and anger, but no one dared stop her. The face of a human admiral appeared on the screen. This is Admiral Chen of the Earth Alliance. We come not for war, but for truth. Lyra looked at Ryan, then back at the screen. Her voice was clear and calm. Then you will have both. The channel closed. Ryan smiled softly. Looks like the galaxy might get another chance. Lyra turned to him, her expression unreadable. Don't thank me yet, Captain. The hardest part comes after peace, he nodded. Then we'll face it together. For the first time in decades, she smiled. A real one. The stars outside the great flagship burned red with warning lights. Both human and Zetherian fleets floated in silence. Hundreds of warships aiming at each other, fingers ready to pull the trigger. It was a moment that could decide the fate of two species. Inside the royal bridge, Queen Lyra stood tall, her crown dimmed, her eyes glowing faintly. Around her, the air was thick with tension. Her generals whispered, their voices sharp and impatient. The humans stall for time. They prepare to strike. We must attack now before they do. Lyra said nothing. Her gaze remained on the stars, and on the small blue and white ships that represented the world of Ryan Hale. Deep down, her heart felt heavy. For years, revenge had kept her alive. Now that she stood on the edge of it, all she felt was emptiness. Behind her, Ryan Hale entered the bridge. Two guards followed, but Lyra waved them off. Leave us. He stopped beside her, looking at the stars, too. So, this is it? She didn't look at him. It could be. One wrong word, one wrong move. And everything burns. Ryan's voice was quiet. Or it could be the beginning of something new. Lyra finally turned to him. You still believe that after everything? I have to, he said. Because if I don't, then saving you 20 years ago meant nothing. Her breath caught slightly. That one memory, the warmth of his hand, the taste of dry bread, the way he told her she would be safe, flashed through her mind like a ghost. But before she could speak, the main screen flashed. Alert. Unauthorized energy signature detected in fleet ranks. The officers at their stations panicked. My queen! Ship code 77 Delta has powered its cannons. Ryan's heart dropped. That's one of your ships. Lyra's face hardened. What? The image zoomed in. A massive Zetherian battleship broke formation, its engines glowing white-hot. The rebel general from earlier, the one she had punished, appeared on screen. His face twisted with fury. You've betrayed us, Lyra. You kneel before the ones who destroyed our world. I'll do what you cannot. Before she could respond, the traitor's ship fired. A blast of blue plasma roared across space, straight toward the human flagship. No. Lyra shouted. The shot hit. The explosion lit up the void, shaking every ship around it. Alarms screamed. The bridge rocked violently as shockwaves spread. Ryan stumbled, grabbing the rail. You have to stop them before this turns into war. Lyra's voice cut through the chaos. All ships. Cease fire! That is an illegal attack. Do not return fire. But it was too late. On the human side, red light filled the sky. Weapons charging. Admiral Chen's voice echoed through the comms. Zetherian forces fired first. Defensive retaliation authorized. Laser beams and plasma bolts crossed the stars. The sky became a storm of color, beautiful, terrible, endless. Ryan, we need to leave. A guard shouted, but Ryan shook his head. I'm not running. He turned to Lyra, shouting over the alarms. You can stop this, Lyra. Tell your people the truth. Tell them what really happened 20 years ago, the beacon, the misunderstanding. Her eyes were wild, filled with fear and confusion. They won't believe me. Then show them. Ryan grabbed her wrist, pulling her toward the central console. Broadcast your memories. The truth isn't words, it's you. She hesitated. Her voice shook. If I open my mind to the network, they'll see everything. My pain, my weakness. Let them, Ryan said softly. They'll see your strength too. Lyra stared at him for one long second, then nodded. She placed her hands on the console. The light beneath her palms spread outward, connecting to every ship in the fleet. The air shimmered as her memories projected through the network, visible not just to the Zetherians but to the humans as well. Everyone saw it. The little girl in the cage. The human soldier who saved her. The fire that destroyed her world. The years of loneliness, anger, and rebuilding. And now, the queen who stood between two armies, refusing to let history repeat itself. When it ended, the battlefield went silent. The guns stopped firing. The explosions faded into echoes. On every ship, Zetherians stared at their screens, seeing not an enemy but their queen's truth. Humans lowered their weapons, confused, humbled. Ryan stepped closer to her. You did it, Lyra swayed, her energy fading. I showed them everything. Then, without warning, the deck shook again. Another explosion, much closer this time. The traitor's ship had turned its guns toward the flagship. If you won't lead us to war, his voice thundered through the comms, then you'll die as a traitor. The blast hit the throne room. Metal tore apart. Lyra was thrown across the floor. Ryan shielded her with his body as debris rained down. When the smoke cleared, he felt blood on his hands. His own. Ryan, Lyra cried, kneeling beside him. Stay with me, he smiled weakly. Guess I saved you again. She grabbed his hand tightly, her tears glowing like liquid light. Don't you dare die, human. Not now. He coughed, struggling to speak. You'll stop them, right? She nodded, her voice breaking. I'll stop them. I promise. Ryan looked up at her, his voice barely a whisper. Then maybe it was all worth it. His eyes closed. Lyra froze, the sound of battle fading into silence around her. For a moment she couldn't breathe. She pressed her hand against his chest, the same hand that once held a child's necklace. Then she stood, her tears glowing brighter than any crown. End this, she commanded through the comms. Cease fire. All ships stand down. This war ends now. The rebel fleet hesitated. Then the traitor's ship exploded in a flash, taken out by her loyal guards. When the light faded, quiet filled the stars again. Lyra knelt beside Ryan once more, brushing dust from his face. You foolish, brave human, she whispered. You saved us all. Hours later, as medical drones worked, the human fleet sent a message of truce. Lyra sat beside Ryan's bed in the medical bay, her fingers still holding his. Outside the window, two fleets, once enemies, now drifted together in silence. For the first time in 20 years, there was peace in the galaxy, and for the first time in her life, Queen Lyra cried not from pain, but from hope. The war was over. The silence that followed felt strange, like the galaxy itself had stopped to breathe again. The battlefield of stars that had burned with fire now glowed softly with peace. Human and Zetherian ships drifted side by side, their weapons powered down, their lights steady and calm. The war that almost began had ended in a single act of courage and sacrifice. Inside the flagship's medical bay, Queen Lyra sat beside the bed of the man who had once saved her life. Ryan Hale lay still, pale under the soft light. Machines hummed quietly around him, keeping him alive. His chest rose and fell with slow, weak breaths. Lyra hadn't moved from that chair in hours. She still wore her crown, but her eyes were tired, her silver skin stained with tears that shimmered faintly blue. She whispered, You can rest now, Ryan, but you can't leave me yet. Her fingers brushed his hand, the same hand that once pulled her from a cage 20 years ago. The same hand that shielded her from fire only hours ago. She looked at him and remembered everything. The frightened girl she had been, the angry queen she had become, and the human who had changed both. Outside the window, rescue shuttles moved between the fleets, carrying wounded soldiers from both sides. The war had no winner. But maybe at last there was understanding. A soft sound broke her thoughts. A voice. Still here? Lyra's heart jumped. Ryan's eyes opened slowly. His voice was weak, but there was that same tired humor she remembered from the desert. She stood up, wiping her tears quickly. "You're awake?" He smiled faintly. "Barely. Thought I'd end up as space dust." Lyra shook her head. "You almost did. You were hit trying to protect me." He coughed softly. "Seems I make a habit of that." For the first time in days, Lyra laughed. It was quiet but real. "You humans never learn." "Maybe that's why we survive," he said. She looked at him for a long moment. "You're lucky I didn't let the healers replace half your body with metal." Ryan chuckled weakly. "Wouldn't be the first time. But I'm guessing I owe my life to you again." Lyra nodded slowly. "Yes, I told you once. You saved me as a child. Now I returned the favor." He stared at her, his voice soft. "Then we're even." She hesitated, then shook her head. "No, Ryan, not even. You gave me something more than life. You gave me choice." Hours later, when he could finally sit up, Lyra walked with him to the observation deck. The great windows stretched wide, showing the quiet stars outside. Half of the human fleet floated nearby. The sight was almost peaceful. Ryan leaned against the railing. "So what happens now?" Lyra's expression was thoughtful. "Now? I rebuild again, but not with anger this time." "You mean peace?" She nodded. "Peace, real peace, between Zytheria and Earth." Ryan smiled faintly. "You think your generals will like that?" Lyra looked away. "No, many will call me weak. Some may even rise against me, but I will face them. Alone if I must." Ryan shook his head. "You won't be alone. Not anymore." Her eyes turned to him, soft, searching. "Even after everything I've done?" He met her gaze. "You didn't destroy the galaxy, Lyra. You saved it." For a long moment, neither spoke. The stars shimmered between them, silent witnesses of 20 years of pain and forgiveness. Then Lyra reached into her robe and pulled out a small object, the silver necklace, the one she had kept since childhood. She placed it in Ryan's hand. "This belongs to you." He frowned. "It was yours," she shook her head. "It was a memory of fear. Now it's a symbol of hope. You should have it." He looked down at the necklace, the crystal still glowing faintly blue. "I think it's more yours than mine." Lyra smiled softly. "Then maybe it belongs to both of us." Suddenly a voice echoed through the intercom. "Your Majesty, the Earth Alliance requests your presence." "They wish to discuss peace terms," Lyra nodded. "Prepare the chamber. I'll be there soon." She turned back to Ryan. "I'll speak for both of us. You've done enough." Ryan grinned weakly. "You sure you don't need a translator for human stubbornness?" She rolled her eyes, but her smile remained. "I've learned enough from you already." As she walked away, her robe shimmering in the soft light, Ryan called after her, "Hey, Lyra." She stopped and turned. "Don't forget," he said quietly. "You're not fighting alone anymore." Her smile faded into something deeper, something warm, rare, real. "I won't." Then she was gone. The peace meeting that followed lasted for hours. Voices argued, promises were made, and for the first time in a generation, humans and Zytherians signed their names on the same treaty. There were no cheers, no victory speeches, only tired relief. When it was done, Queen Lyra returned to the deck. Ryan was waiting there, watching the fleets drift apart peacefully. "So?" he asked. "It's over," she said simply. "We have peace." Ryan looked at her, then at the stars. "You did it." She shook her head. "We did it," he smiled. "Then I guess the galaxy owes you one." Lyra looked at him, her voice quiet but strong. "No, Ryan, it owes you. Because you believed in something even I couldn't see." He chuckled softly. "Hope's a strange thing. It makes fools out of soldiers." "Maybe," she said, stepping closer. "But sometimes, fools are the ones who save the world." They stood there together, side by side, watching the stars that once carried war now shining with peace. As the ship turned towards Zytheria, Ryan looked down at the necklace still in his hand. The blue crystal pulsed once, as if alive. A small holographic message flickered from it. Lyra's voice, soft and distant. "You once told me that if we don't help each other, there's nothing left. You were right, Ryan. Wherever you go, remember this. Mercy is not weakness. It's the light that keeps us human." Ryan smiled, closing his fingers around the necklace. "Goodbye, Lyra." Outside the window, the stars stretched like rivers of silver, and for the first time in decades, Captain Ryan Hale felt peace in his heart. Somewhere out there, a queen watched the same stars and whispered a silent promise to the human who had changed her world. Until we meet again.